Real Estate Rewired.
Welcome to Real Estate Rewired, AI with a Heart with Gus Waite. And today on the show, I'm sitting down with Michael Navoyan, owner of Weichert Realty, Atlantic Properties, and the Atlantic Mortgage and Finance Corporation. 3 offices across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, plus a mortgage arm he built alongside the brokerage. 30 years in, still independent, still owner-operated. He didn't hand the keys to Compass. That's why he's here.
Correct.
This show is about broker owners who built something real and are still running it, who are working right now, what's broken, where AI is actually moving the needle versus just making noise. Mike, you've got 3 decades of pattern recognition across multiple states, and that's why you're here. So welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. And I appreciate your time. And 3 decades really makes me look at myself and realize how old I am. So great.
You look good, man. We look like we could be brothers over here.
Cool.
Right.
This
Before we got on the
industry will do this to you, though.
Man, tell me about. Listen, I used to have a full head of hair, But all kidding aside, and I love to ask this question. Most people at 8 years old aren't going, man, I want to be a real estate broker. So, where did you start out, and how did you end up getting into this crazy business 30 years ago?
So when I graduated from college, from the University of Rhode Island back in 1995, took a position with Domestic Bank as a retail loan officer. I was in that sphere for 15 years, and I worked both on the retail side and wholesale side of the business. So I really was able to understand not only the customer-facing side of the business, but also the back end of it and how the secondary market works with mortgages, et cetera, et cetera. So when the market started to collapse, at that time I was working for a subsidiary of HSBC. That company went belly up. Then subsequently, a couple of other companies that I started working for, went belly up. The market was crazy. So I had a great idea right in the middle of the recession. Let me start my own mortgage brokerage. And my wife said, what are you doing? And from there, my thought process at that time was there was a lot of properties going into default. There were a lot of unique financing opportunities out there, and being an independent broker would enable me to do so or have access to that. So I started working with private lenders, and lo and behold, we were able to work with a lot of people, introduce ourselves to a lot of people that we currently still do business with today that wanted to fix and flip properties. With that said, I ended up starting the real estate brokerage almost at the same time that I opened up the mortgage brokerage. And the whole thought was, it wasn't really rocket science. It was in a very tight market. How could I make one customer equal 2 checks?
Mhm.
That's really what it was. And from there, it's kind of taken, I don't want to say a life of its own. We've become, successful, I would say. And the beauty of working with the franchise that we're affiliated with Weichert, they've allowed us to keep our culture, which was the most important thing. We'd been approached by numerous franchises. You name all the big names, they came after us. And really the main reason why we wouldn't partner with them is they wanted us to just assimilate to how they did things and become more corporate. Whereas Weichert said, you can continue doing what you're doing. You're truly independently owned and operated. You keep your culture. And our culture is professional, but laid back. And they've been true to their word. When I talk to people that are interested in possibly joining our brokerage, what I do tell them is we're probably the most mom and pop franchise that they will come across. There are no layers with us. If somebody on our team wants to speak to me, they don't have to call an assistant or somebody else to make an appointment with me. They just call me directly, or whatever. So my main focus is, solving problems. That's what I do all day. And then on top of that, I still produce my own business.
Got it. And how many agents are across the offices, across the states? How many people you got working in the mortgage?
So we have 26 agents on the real estate team, and our mortgage team, we have 8 people, which includes an office with one great guy in Ocala, Florida. He's been down there for a while, and he does a fantastic job.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned culture, right? And it's also interesting that somehow mom and pop can have a quote unquote negative connotation, but in reality, what it means is human to human.
Yeah, I like to be approachable.
Right. I mean, it's interesting. I recently, and recently had interviewed someone who, was working for a team about your size down in Miami, loved the broker, all of that. The broker sold out. I won't name the name, but sold out to a large national franchise. Hey, okay, give us your $3,000 to the agent. And then, like, literally the next day had 50 modules in their inbox of what they were supposed to learn to be a part of this corporate culture. And, maybe 25 of them had nothing to do with ever doing anything for them or putting money in their pocket. And so what I hear you saying is what you guys got going on here is, authenticity, like be who you are, be
Absolutely.
professional, but relax. I mean, have some fun with this.
Absolutely. And the main thing with our group, I talk, one of the things I'm really proud of is the longevity. I know with a lot of brokerages, people are in and out, moving from one place to another. With our core group of people, we have a handful of team members that have been with us for over a decade. And that's what really means a lot to me in terms
Mhm,
of looking in the mirror and saying, are you doing something right? I mean, God knows we're not perfect
mhm.
and we're always looking to improve. But I think that the environment that we've created is friendly and approachable for our team members. Nobody is hesitant to reach out to me. Nobody's afraid of presenting a, quote unquote, dumb question. They understand that my job with my experience is to assist them. And that's something I'm most proud of is just being approachable, maintaining the culture, and having people really in the community look at us as a positive influence, whether it's here in Rhode Island or Connecticut or Massachusetts. Reputation to us is everything.
Got it. Now, listen, my sort of tagline and where I went with it myself is AI can turn what you love into a superpower and
Hmm.
take what you hate off your plate, right?
Agreed.
Every job is a series of tasks. Some tasks I love to do, some tasks I don't love to do. So if you were going to start with what you love most about what you're doing right now, Mike, like what parts of the job would you miss even if you weren't getting paid?
Interacting with my clients, number one. I really enjoy helping people find that house and sometimes overcoming obstacles and having the mortgage background, also understanding that some of these transactions, getting these people into their first home, for instance, can be challenging. It really, I take a lot of pride in, like, I'll give you an example. Last year, I count them. We never, ever, ever force or nudge our clients on the real estate side to use our mortgage company. I'm almost pushing them away because I never want to have that perception that we're trying to hoard everything and
Mhm.
have people do things that they're not really comfortable doing. But last year, we had 6 of our clients who went to local banks or credit unions where their financing was declined, and we were able to step in and help them achieve their goals. So something like that, that's when I really,
Mm.
that's what really makes my day and makes me proud of our team when we're able to do things like that.
Got it. It's when you would take someone that was maybe getting a nose and listen, it's nerve-wracking buying a house, your first house. I mean, I don't have to tell you, Mike. It's what do they say? Moving is the third highest stressor. And then
Absolutely.
you throw kids in and marriages and in-laws and everybody's influence and the internet. I mean, it's an overwhelming process.
You got that right. Absolutely.
And then what about the parts of your day where you're like, okay, I got to do this, but I wish
Well,
I didn't have to.
as much as, as much as I like the mom and pop aspect of our brokerage, it is to do have a lot on my plate in terms of doing some admin things that I know other broker owners absolutely would never do. For example, once a month, I just carve out almost an entire day and just do the bills, right? That in itself is something I hate doing.
Mhm.
Never look forward to it, but it's a necessity. I will tell you things that have made my life easier over the last couple of years, programs like Deposit Link, paying out
Mhm.
commissions that way has not only made it more streamlined for everybody, get things, get paid, refund escrow overages, things of that nature. So that's made things more seamless, but it's really made my life easier. One of the things I also pride myself on is once I have a check received for a closing, and it clears our bank account. I am trying to pay our agents within a day or two. They
Mhm.
don't have to, they're not getting paid every 2 weeks or once a month or what have you. I try to get them their money ASAP. I know how hard they work for that transaction, and I know how important some of that money is to our team members.
Right.
And I really make a concerted effort to do that. And Deposit Link is one thing that really has made that a lot easier.
Love that. Now, what about the dreaded emails? How much time do you spend on emails every day?
I couldn't even tell you. I can't count. I mean, I'm not sure if I spend more time replying to emails or sifting through the emails that are not applicable to anything. The
Mhm.
phishing, the masking of trying to have us download things that are going to get us malware. So yeah, the email piece is a necessary evil, but I wish there was a way to streamline that. Trust me. And having
Mhm.
to go through 2 sets of emails each day is also a little frustrating.
Well, Mike, after this, when the show is over, I was in the same boat. Let me ask you this. The things that hurt the most, let's talk about this for a moment. The first deal way back 30 years ago that you lost because of ignorance, you didn't know something, you didn't know how to overcome an obstacle or whatever. I remember that one for me. Do you remember a deal way back when that just kind of fell apart because you didn't quote unquote have it? You were new.
Yeah, I absolutely, and, I know their names. They were actually
Yeah,
from Mass
exactly.
they were
Because it
from Ma
still hurts.
they were from Massachusetts, and you're right, it was just a lack of experience. I could have it was a loan transaction in this particular instance. I could have restructured it a different way, and I just didn't have the experience or the knowledge at that time to do so. But I also didn't have the guidance. So
Mm,
that is the lesson I learned from that was regardless of if it's real estate or mortgages, I want to make sure that my door is always open so that doesn't happen to somebody
mhm.
else. Now, obviously, everybody's going to lose transactions, but at least present different ideas to our team members, especially the newer ones, that can help them potentially look at something a different way.
So let me ask you another question. 30 years. So we started about the same time, right? And I was doing, when I started in Manhattan, it was the Sunday Times, and they would run the little classified ads for rentals and,
Hmm.
Flatiron Loft, 2000 bucks. My broker of record would get to the office at 9 o'clock. I would be there at 8:55. So I was waiting for him outside the door because I knew he was going to play his voice and he was going to print out 8, 10, 15 people and their numbers. And because I was there, he would hand to me, say, Gus, call these people up. So that was number one. I learned that. Obviously, that was before, then it went to Craigslist, then it went to New York Times Classified, then Zillow came onto the scene, then, then it was a whole other world. So, what changes have you seen in your market when you think about how the game was played 30 years ago? What are the major technological changes?
Well, I think most people experience this. And from a real estate perspective, it does get a little frustrating. I mean, Zillow is like a hot word here. To me, they're a necessary evil. We have clients, if we set them up to, just as an example, we set them up to receive their daily listings or whatever they're receiving based on the budgets and the criteria they provided to us. And they'll inevitably, even though we tell them don't go to Zillow, what will happen is they think they found one that is not getting a direct feed from what we're sending them from the MLS. And you have to, you go in there and you see that it's contingent and explaining to them that this is not a great source for that. It's a nice tool to use. And, we want to, so I'm going to kind of contradict myself because as much as they frustrate me, I know that the general public will go to Zillow first. So
Mhm.
we have focused in on the reviews on that platform as a resume builder. So they frustrate me to death. They're kind of taking on our industry, but I still need them because of the like I said, the resume building that it does provide. I believe we have 126 reviews. I look at it almost every weekend. Where 126 reviews, we're a 5 out of 5. That gives us definite credibility within our market. So that change where people are looking obviously first online and then going out to look at properties, as opposed to back in the day when they were doing drive-bys or whatever. Their first interaction with a property now is obviously online. And I actually think that's a fantastic thing.
So here, I have mixed feelings about it, right? So one is my fear is that Zillow's ultimate game is, hey, Mike, I'll pay your agent $100 to open the door because I'm handling the entire transaction. I found the person, put the appointment. You just go open the door. I don't really need you after that. I've got AI that can handle the mortgage and everything else. That's a concern. The second thing, when I was a managing broker, man, it got so frustrating. My agents would have to sit there like having some young kid tell them how to do their business because they weren't following the Zillow protocol in terms of what they said and when they said it and the amount of appointments they set. So to your point about the anti-mom and pop, I hear what you're saying, but it also feels like we're being drawn into this private equity corporate world of like, do it our way. And I think that can be incredibly frustrating to agents who are generally independent contractors and don't want to do that. Do you find that's an
Absolutely.
issue?
I do. And I think you just said it way better than I could have. That in itself is right on point. With our group, we have a very diverse group, and Rhode Island,
Yeah.
it's like a city state.
Hmm.
Our agents are spread out all over the state. And as you probably also know, in Rhode Island, a 20-minute drive for anybody is like a situation where you need to pack a bag, an overnight bag. And for me, getting our group together is like herding cats. So with that said, making and requiring them to do things that are outside their comfort zone, everybody has their own personality. Everybody has their own way of approaching their clientele. And that corporate structure of this is how it has to be is definitively frustrating for me. And that's why with Weichert, I feel like we have a great fit with them because they're more like business coaches, I would
Hmm.
say, and a support system. They make suggestions, but never will require us to do anything. So from that standpoint, they provided us with great technology and training, which is complementary to what we all already do in person with our group. I think the corporate lens really frustrates me. And I've been part of corporate America. I was part of HSBC for 5 years, and I enjoyed it, but I don't think I could go back to that.
No,
Can't.
because here's the reality at this point, Mike. Private equity is only interested in one thing, man, the return on the dollar. The
Absolutely.
people oh, we're all a family, we're all a family. Yeah, we're all a family until our numbers are down 8%. And then we got to cut 12% of the payroll. So I'm not a fan of that just for me, because I'm an independent guy, right? That's the way I think. And I read there was a book called The E-Myth Revisited about entrepreneurs who succeed or fail. They say they have three things: autonomy, purpose, and mastery. And I think real estate agents, right? They want autonomy.
Absolutely.
They want to be able to work with the kind of people and the kinds of properties and the kinds of places in the way that their thing is. It's got to be tied to a purpose. But then also the good ones are always trying to master it, right? Taking a class, thinking about this, practicing their listing presentation. In your experience, the most successful agents, what qualities do they have?
Well, first thing is integrity, drive, willing to get outside of their comfort zone. I think that sometimes, well, let me rewind for a second. Oftentimes when we have a new agent start with us, one of the first questions that he or she will ask me is, what should I focus in on? My answer is whatever you can take in, and we will guide you. Don't narrow your scope. Master everything if you can. And that's the whole thing. We will guide them the whole way. Fortunately, because of 30 years again, it's-
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm saying that, 30 years. But with that said, we have experience with commercial. We have experience with residential. We're in a vacation area, so we have experience with Airbnb income. We have experience with short and long-term rentals. So there are a lot of things that are presented to us in some of the areas that we cover that are unique to vacation areas or locations. And I think you really need, if you have the experience on your team, whether it's through me or some of our other team members. For example, we have some people that work exclusively with builders, and that's their focus. But
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't mean they won't go outside of that comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think being well-rounded is a huge thing, especially in this environment that we're in now. The last thing I think a client wants to hear is you've been working with them, for example, for 2 or 3 months, and then they shift their focus and they can't find what they're looking for. So they switch their focus to a different type of property. All of a sudden you're going to not work with them because you're not comfortable with that type of property.
Mm-hmm.
I say move on, keep pushing on, and it's a learning experience. And if you have the support system in place, you're going to be able to give them great guidance. And moving forward, you'll feel more comfortable working with different properties, different situations, different locations, etc.
Interesting. So when starting in Manhattan, right, there were 864,000 apartments in Manhattan, condos, co-ops, rentals, pre-war, walk-ups. I mean, my God, day one in real estate, I went to my broker and I'm like, like what? I lived here. What the hell? And he said, Gus, pick one neighborhood, one price point, one size apartment. And I remember this to this day. I picked the West Village. There were only 18 studio apartments available for rent in the entire West Village. And he said, go see everyone. And so I physically walked into every one, and literally at that moment, I knew more about studios in the West Village than any human being on the planet because I'd actually been in them all.
Sure, sure.
And that kind of confidence when someone would say, hey, this is really small, and I was able to go, I understand that, and say, hey, listen, over at 211 West 11th, there's another one. It's a little bit bigger, but it's this much more money. And all of a sudden, just that comfort within that little narrow and deep. Then you expand out to a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, then another neighborhood, then a condo. But it was so, for me in the beginning, it felt really good to kind of feel like, man, I know a lot about this particular type of house in this particular neighborhood and what's a good deal and what isn't a good deal.
Well, I think for us, especially with the newer agents, just to give you an example, Rhode Island has in the neighborhood of 10,000 agents for a state of this size. Just like a lot of real estate markets, about 20% of the agents do 80% of the
Right.
business, and then narrow it down, you know, of that, about 5 to 7% of the agents are doing most of that 80%.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes challenging for a lot of newer people to get started. I think one of the most important things is to get a transaction under your belt as quickly as
Mm-hmm.
possible.
Right.
And for us in our market, I treat Rhode Island because it's so small as one big,
Right.
so for us, it's been whether it's a two-family or a condo or a single family, we're going to guide you and find the client, build the relationship, and then we're going to hold your hand through that first transaction. And most of the times for the newer agents, they're working with buyers out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to work that way. Not all the time, but a majority of the time. So what we're trying to do is get them comfortable going out, viewing properties, and then holding their hand through the transaction process, through the offer. We're going to have somebody going to those showings with them. We're going to have somebody going to the inspection, presenting the offer with them, crafting the offer. Then second time around, we'll ask them, so now what do you think we should do this time? So for me, it's more about understanding the process, and then it's probably a little different than how you did it, but for me, I want them to get some sort of positive results to motivate them to keep moving forward. Because I think a lot of agents, they get their license, they're all excited, and they want immediate, or their expectations, as much as I tell them, don't think it's not really going to happen this way, they're looking for immediate results. And what I always tell agents is getting back to what do I think is really important, consistency. I think consistent actions will drive you and allow you to become successful in a more timely manner. Just have this conversation with one of our newer people, and she had something going on when a family member was sick or what have you. So I said, just take your time. When you're ready, come back to us. She had started for a couple of months doing things. And I said, really, we're back at ground zero. We're starting all over because you had your situation. I'm glad everything worked out. But here we are, we're back at day one. So don't think of it as you've had your license for 6 months now. You've had your license for a day. And
Mhm.
you have to have consistent actions. Every Monday, I'm going to do this. Or between Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to do these actions to try to generate some business, and whatever you're choosing to do to try to generate that business, and it could be one thing or a multitude of things, you really need to be consistent in how you approach that. So that's my big thing.
Well, listen, and that actually leads us right into the AI conversation, right? Because if you look at it, every job is a series of tasks, and the tasks make up the workflow, every day. And one of the challenges in a real estate agent is it's not like you go to work and they're telling you this is what you need to do. I mean, you have to create that for yourself.
Sure.
So in terms of like your AI adoption, your attitude towards it, like where are you at with it? What have you utilized it for? What's worked? What hasn't worked?
So I love AI. Started off small. One of the things that I've been doing personally is I created they're like 12 seconds long. They're these AI generated, like it's through open AI. So
Mhm.
I upload a picture of myself, and then I can also upload a picture of the property I'm going to or wherever I'm going to. And I just came up with a quick thing for social media. How am I getting to that appointment that day? So I come up with an excuse every time why I have to go through an alternative route. So, for example, we had a property that was in East Providence, Rhode Island, where we've had bridge problems. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. So my thing was, well, there was a lot of traffic on the Washington Bridge, so I rode like a great white shark across the way to get there. So that's an example. So each time I go somewhere, I'm doing something, and
Got
the
it.
the views, when we used to just list a property, for example,
Mhm.
um, on social media, you get like 50 views.
Mhm.
That's gone to, I get at least 1,000 views every time.
Mhm.
And now I was at a funeral 2 weeks ago, and I was giving my condolences, and that I made the person laugh at least. And they said, I love your videos. And they're only 12 seconds. So
Right.
you don't have to invest a lot of time, but it just keeps you top of mind. So I love that. A lot of our team members are utilizing AI they're using it for their remarks, for their descriptions, I should say,
Mhm.
for their listings. Comes out very nice. I'm now looking into Claude to take that to the next level. I actually just finished a training session with them. So that's my task for the week, to kind of get to know that a little better.
Got it. Love that. And your team, ha different people have different attitude towards it. Anybody hate it? Like, I do not want to do this. Anybody like massively embraced it where they're building agentic AI and having it do actions for them?
Both
Like,
ends
where
of
do
the
they fall?
spectrum.
Yeah.
Both ends of the spectrum. So our team is pretty diverse in terms of age. So we have some people in their late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, 40s, but we go all the way out to the 70s. And
Mhm.
not surprisingly, some of the team members that have been around for a while, they're just comfortable doing it their way, and that's fine with me.
Yeah.
I would say we have 5 people, if I had a guess, that I've been speaking with that are really into it, and then the rest are dabbling.
Mhm.
I am encouraging them to get more involved because you don't want to be left behind.
Mhm. And where do you think it's gonna go? Where do you see AI 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now in terms of your own workflows?
That's a great question. I thought about this last week. I was talking to one of our agents who's really into it. He was actually on the webinar with Claude with me. Years ago, a couple of our people thought the agent was going to go by the wayside. It was all going to be like you had discussed earlier or mentioned
Mhm.
earlier before. Zillow, they tried to do this like eight,
Right.
10 years ago, didn't work. I'm not sure how far it can go, because I do believe that real estate transactions have become more complex. The percentage of people using realtors has actually increased over the last 10 years because there is a thought that they bring value to the table. So, with that said, I think there is a ceiling as to how involved it can get, but I also think that the assistance that it can bring for you I can be I can't like, it really could take you to the next level, free up a lot of
Well,
time.
yeah, here I'm always thinking visually, right? Like the way that I look at it is like this. If I'm a bricklayer, right? And the old way was every time I had to walk to the truck, carry the bricks to the wall, and now build the bricks. Like AI can bring me the bricks
Yes,
so that I can spend more time building the wall because the AI is not going to build the wall,
correct.
but the AI can make it so that I'm in front of. Listen, at the end of the day, the way that I see it, you got to be in front of people. I mean, people got to know that you're around, know that you care about them, know that you're going to bring some value, know that you can overcome obstacles. Like, hey, Mike got me our first house when all these mortgage people wouldn't get it for us.
Correct.
And like, where's that story being told? So that's the way I see it. And I think also it's like it's changing so quickly, Mike. It is I don't know if you have this experience, but does it feel a little bit overwhelming?
It's definitely overwhelming, and it seems like it's getting off the rails a little, so that's why I'm
Yes.
trying to just absorb what I think I can use. Getting back to how do you use it, I really think AI that every company is really using now that is associated or involved with your CRM has made our lives easier because it's reaching out to your clients. So it does have that assistance piece. I can tell you that there are a lot of clients that we've been able to procure because of AI, just because our system is sophisticated enough. And I'm not saying our system's better than
Right.
anybody else's, but
Sure.
it definitely I think it in the long term, it can be a great assistant
Mhm.
and make you more productive, but also it might free up some time so you have a life too. So I
Well,
think
that's the other thing, man. It's about time.
yeah,
And listen, I say this all the time. I don't care if you're making $1 million a year, man. If you're sitting in your car at 7:30 eating a half a tuna sandwich, and the wife's pissed because you said you'd be home at 6 o'clock for dinner, and a deal's falling apart, and I mean that's no way to live.
absolutely. That used to be me.
Yeah.
I've learned
Okay. Everybody.
yeah. And now I don't feel like that anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. Every once in a while, there are transactions that take place and you just like, well, this reminds me of 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, that was happening twice a month, not
Right.
once a year or whatever. So is it still going to happen? Yes, but I think that it has systems are in place now where you can um, make it through the transaction process in a more seamless manner. I think in just going to like our lenders on the mortgage side of the business, they have made the process a lot easier.
Mhm.
So I mean, there are still transactions on the mortgage side of the business that will drive you crazy. But for the most part, the lenders have things in place that have made life easier, have made this process more seamless, and you're able to actually hit the dates more times than not that are on the contract, whether it's the mortgage contingency or the closing date. We're involved with reporting. And it's amazing to me as to how many of our transactions close on time. 10 years ago, there was extensions for almost every transaction.
Right.
And I think that the two businesses, although they operate in a completely different world because the mortgage industry, the rates are the rates, whether you're in Rhode Island or Florida
Right.
or California, they're the same rates. Whereas, as we know, real estate is much more localized, but these two businesses go hand in hand. And although they operate in different worlds, I think the fact that the mortgage business is much more consistent in terms of how their processes are put together has made the real estate side of the business come across as much more on point with our clientele because you can definitely tell your client, we're going to close in 30 days,
Yep.
for example. And if it's a specialty product, as I mentioned before, sometimes you have these, for example, bank statement transactions. For whatever reason, they never close on time ever.
Mhm.
So instead of trying to do a 30-day closing, if you know that's the route they're going, and this is the advantage we have with our mortgage background, we're going to say it's a minimum 45 days, for example, for something like that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm sure you heard this time kills all deals.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, ain't it the truth, boy? The longer it drags on, the more somebody's uncle shows up and goes, "Wait a minute, I wouldn't live there. There's something better out there." After you've seen 300 houses and
Yeah, after, because he bought a house 20 years ago.
it's brutal. It's funny. I would say to my agents, especially the new ones, they'd get all excited about a deal closing. I'd say, "Has the protector showed up yet?" And they're like, "Who's the protector?" I said, "There's always one guy in the family who says no
Absolutely,
to everything, right? Oh, the
absolutely.
restaurant's no good. Don't go to Miami. Don't buy that house." And you gotta, wait for that guy
Great
or
story I
woman.
have is he was a friend of mine, so I could be a little snarky with him.
Honest?
Yes.
Okay.
So he very nervous person, good guy. Him and his wife were buying this house, and I was, very fortunate they allowed me to help them purchase it on the real estate side, and I was doing the mortgage. So, it was great. He was after the inspection, went through things and, the house wasn't perfect and there were some deficiencies. He ended up talking to a gentleman that I went to elementary school with who owns a jewelry store.
Expert in real estate.
And so my friend is asking me about this and that. And well, John said this. I said, John, who? The watch guy? And I said, what? I said, why are we doing this? So now every time I talk to him, regardless of what we're talking about, I ask him if John told him okayed whatever he was doing. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. So
I know, man. That's funny. Well, listen, Mike, this has been and this is how it is. I just love talking to people. I love that you're in the space that you're in. I do always like to, though, before we end, let's start with that first time home buyer.
mhm.
What are the 2 or 3 things that you would encourage them to do to be most successful before they even call you guys up? Maybe it's a mindset. Give me some thoughts on that.
Well, the first thing is, I think the very first thing they need to do is get pre-approved. So you need to understand what is financially viable for you. Also, I would tell them to put their list together, their wants and their needs. And what I always tell them after they have their list is what you think you actually need will sometime at some point make it to the wants list because it's not as important as you may think at the outset. And I would think about where in proximity to where they work are they going to be comfortable commuting from. What oftentimes happens is where you know you're showing people properties and they love the house and then it dawns on them that they're going to commute 50 minutes each day one
Mhm.
way. Well, probably should have figured that out at the beginning. So we can 86 that municipality. So I think that those things are probably the most important in terms of, I think getting pre-approved, and that is before, I mean, obviously contacting us, but I think that is so important to start the process. Here's the blank canvas. What can I afford? I think that is by far the most important thing.
Well, listen, I never thought of this. It's like the analogy, if I didn't have a credit card, I only had cash on me, and I went into a restaurant and the steaks cost 45 and I got 15 bucks on me, I'm getting a coffee and a donut. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean? I like, it's just the reality. Even if I want the steak, I can't get it.
Absolutely. I agree. So I think that's number one. Finding, like I said, I would say be smart, work smarter, not harder in terms of where you want to be. Doing, 2-hour drives for no reason when you were never going to live there because it's too far from work is a waste of everybody's time. So I would say just focusing on what municipalities really work for you. And then the other thing is not just from work, from your family. Let's just say you have, uh, parents that need some assistance. Don't want to be too far away from them. So just things like that.
Sounds good. Mike, man, this was a great conversation. Please
That's
hang on. I wanted to
Thank you.
ask you a couple questions, but appreciate you jumping on. And I know we missed each other and then you renegotiated and rescheduled. So I
Yep.
really appreciate it. It was
Well, I
great talking to
appreciate
you.
the time, Gus. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you for watching AI Real Estate Rewired, AI with a Heart with Gus Waite. If you're interested in being on the show, please go ahead and DM us, give us a call, reach out. And remember, AI should turn what you love into a superpower and let you do less of the rest. So thanks for watching. If you've got value from today's episode, hit subscribe, leave a comment. I'd love to know what you're thinking. If you're ready to turn what you love into your superpower and take what you hate off your plate, schedule your free AI discovery call. The link is in the description and pinned comment. I'm Gus Waite. Until next time.